Okay.
There we go. All right. I was trying to figure out what was the extra audio was coming from. And I apologize for people out there who's watching, whatnot, and sorry for the interruption. That was all my fault. I apologize for that. But so thank you everyone for hanging out with us for Behind the Artist Table, episode 2. I guess you can say this would be the blueprint. All right. And we have some special guests here with us. We got Rich Dresden from Dresden Media. I wish I had like an applause button. And we have Sean MacArthur.
I stepped away for a second, but he's coming right back.
And then we have Jody Darrell.
What's going on?
And we have Jarrell Rivera. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let's get this party started. What I'm going to be doing is that, we're just going to have like a nice little discussion. I'd like you guys to like briefly introduce yourselves and whatnot. This Sean, here you go. All right.
What's going on, guys?
Yes. So I want to do is like a little brief introduction with you guys there. Rich, let's start with you. Can you just give us a little bit, like say you just meeting me for the very first time and you presenting yourself, and then we'll go to Sean, Jody, and then to Jarrell. Just tell me a little bit about yourselves.
My name is Rich Dresden. I'm the founder of Dresden Media, which publishes Luckyzilla comic magazines and comic strips, which are published weekly on luckyzilla.com. I'm also the host and producer of Dresden Draws, a mostly weekly live series where I draw characters, cartoon characters, comic book characters of all kinds. I also like cats and dogs.
Nice. I like cats and dogs, mostly dogs though. Cats are not my friends. All right. Sean, how about you? Go ahead.
How's it going, guys? I'm Sean MacArthur. I'm the founder and also illustrator, writer of Divide District Studios. I've created the book Home and Worlds Beyond. And on my downtime, I like drawing.
Hey, so do I. I love drawing myself too. Go ahead, Jody. What's up with you?
Hi, I am the VP and event planner for Divided District Studios. I am also the writer, artist of the book Euphoria, which is another title under our company.
And Jarrell, go right ahead.
How you doing? My name is Jarrell. I'm the artist and co-creator of Go Robo Now, Battle of Gods. It's an ongoing comic series that we're publishing currently. You can find it on Comixology. And I'm also a freelance illustrator, designer for hire.
Right, excellent. And I'm McKel Supreme from Night and Day Anime Studios. Thank you guys for spending some time with us and to discuss books and art.
You're waving to him.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem. I thank you for blessing us with your presence and whatnot. I knew each and every one of you guys for a long while now, and I could see that your artwork progressed greatly within the years from the time we had met. From Rich, we both graduated together at the same school. I used to watch him do his animation at the computer labs late night. We were together there, and I used to see you elevate with your animation and whatnot. And you got Luckyzilla, the book, whatnot, which I have many copies of different issues that I have, and I love the stories. Sean, we met at New York Comic Con 10 years. Oh, thank you.
Years
Sean,
ago, man.
Yeah, we met many years ago at New York Comic Con and whatnot, and I don't know, we just clicked very well for some strange reason, and I think it was just meant to be that we actually connected and actually linked up and keeping the relations between us to see how we both elevated from that time and whatnot. And Jody, I know you're a cool person because you're with Sean there, so that's all I'm going to say after that. But I'm definitely going to learn more about you this evening. And Jarrell, I think we met over at I think it was Eternal Con, was it? We met at Eternal Con at...
I think we actually met at New York Comic Con.
At where?
At New York Comic Con.
At New York Comic Con. Oh, say word. Wow, yeah. Say word. All right, cool. So the first question I'm going to be throwing out there to you guys is that, what made you decide to pick up that pen and pencil and say, I want to be an artist? What made you go and say, I want to draw for a living, or just want to draw, period, and and just show off your art skills to the world. What made you say that I want to be an artist? Anyone could go ahead and speak first.
Not.
I'll take it.
All right, go ahead,
right.
Sean.
When I was a kid, my oldest brother, he used to draw, and I used to watch him, and I was like, I can do that. So I would try to copy how he draws, and then as I started growing up, I was like, started getting better and better. But it wasn't until I was like at least 18 or 19 when I was just like, I want to do this for a living. Went to Comic Book Jones. That was like the first comic book store that I would frequently go to, and I would go every week, and I'll read different books, and I'll try to copy, or not even copy, but try to draw the style of the artist that I was focusing on. Yeah, so around that time, I was like, I really want to become an illustrator, and I really want to make comic books. So for years, I've been doing just that.
I remember back in the days too, when I was a lot young. I used to live in the Bronx, and me and my friends will like walk like maybe a good 5 mile hike to the nearest comic book store. I remember the name too. It's called Wow Comics. And we would go there and hang out and just start reading books for hours and whatnot. Of course, with my allowance, I made little purchases here, and that's when one of my major purchases was Frank Miller's Batman, The Dark Knight, and also when I also was introduced into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not the ones that we know now. I'm talking about the more brutal version. Yes, that was. I actually had the first 4 main books. I mean, the graphic novels. At one point, unfortunately, we had a fire down the line, and I lost everything, unfortunately. But I remember hanging out in comic book stores, and that was a major thing in my life to see the illustrators. Jody, go right ahead. Go ahead. Let me see. What's your answer onto that question?
Pretty much, like, since I was little, have always been a creative person. I was never one to like stick to one genre. I was like, well, what if I did this? Or what if I tried that? So comic books at first was never on my radar, and it wasn't. Sean showed me that, hey, you know how to draw, so this is not impossible for you. And that's what made me take the leap into comics. But as far as art, I've been painting and sketching pretty much since I was little.
Nice. The funny thing is that when I met my wife back in 2007, we met at a more of like a writers community on MySpace, believe it or not, Dead Space now. But it was a writers community. What we do, we'll write characters, stories, things like that. And she showed me like a couple of art drawings that she did of her main original character. So I convinced her and told her, like, yo, this is pretty good, and I like the story that you're working on, and you should actually pursue to produce this. And down the line, she actually made like 4 books under her character called Rainstar. So I could understand like the affiliation between you guys and what me and my wife is, whatnot. How we kind of bounce off each other a little bit and elevate to that next level. That's pretty cool. I love that. Jarrell, you want to go take the head on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, like Sean and Jody, I've drawn since I was a little kid, making my own comics, like Ninja Turtles, same thing, Power Rangers.
Hell yeah.
Drawing Superman and superheroes. And, my mom was really encouraging to me to encourage me to draw and develop my skills. So it's just something like, since I can remember, I've been drawing, and, I've always had the idea, like, I want to do this for a living. I want to, whether it's like, animation or, I think eventually when I was like in junior high school, I settled on, I just want to draw comics. So I grew up reading comics, and I just love the style of them and the colors and, the just everything about it. And it's just I never stopped. It's really the one thing I'm good at. Yeah. So like let me develop this.
The funny thing is that my mother introduced me into drawing as well. But I really think that she introduced me so I could get out of her hair a little bit. Like, here, do draw some characters and have fun with that too.
Yeah, here's some paper, some crayons. Leave me alone.
You know what I mean? So
Neil
that's
Adams,
pretty cool.
Neil Adams had a similar beginning.
Yeah. So
I
since
understand.
you mentioned it, go ahead, Rich. Go ahead. What introduced you? What made you say I want to be an artist?
Well, oh boy. Well, the short answer is I've always been drawing. Apparently, the very first drawing I ever did was of Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck going fishing. I was raised on Disney, therefore I was raised on DuckTales. I was also raised on Ninja Turtles, but the cartoon, unfortunately, not the comic that early, though the comic is brilliant. But the Sonic the Hedgehog comics that were published by Archie, really, started burning some fires in my head. I'm like, wow, they took this video game and just elaborated on it, and the characters are so rich. And I'm like, I want to write stories with those characters, so I did. And then eventually, I started creating my own characters, and one of them was Luckyzilla,
Hmm.
which is now celebrating his 25th anniversary this year.
Congrats, congrats.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congrats.
Oh yes, it's so surreal, to think that I had a dog named Lucky growing up, a dog who was a terror and got the nickname of Luckyzilla either from me, my mother, or my sister. But 25 years later, he's still going strong. Issue number 19 was published last month.
Wow.
I got to show this amazing cover that Kelly did for the 10th issue.
Very nice.
Ah, yes. And my favorite cover of all time, and my favorite issue that we ever published, Luckyzilla number 8,
Nice.
where he fights his arch nemesis, the Ref.
Yeah, I love the ref character, man. You say
yeah.
the ref is like your Joker in Luckyzilla?
He is as much what the Joker is to Batman as Moriarty is to Sherlock Holmes. I mean, he is the bane of Lucky's existence. I mean, Lucky doesn't hate anybody, but the ref is really close to being hated because of just the terrible person he is. But anyways, that more or less drifts away from your question, and just shameless self-promotion on my part. But I just love being being able to create stuff and meet people who are passionate about that as well, and also to see the faces of the kids that look at my work, whether they buy it or not. I that's not as important to me as leaving them with an impression that life is very interesting. There's always more stories to tell.
Definitely. And the one thing I like about storytelling, and I've been drawing stories for a very long time. Even when I was in middle school and high school, I used to do like little simple stuff, a couple of panels on pages, stapled together and into a booklet and give them out to my friends. I used to make stories based with me and my friends. I used to make them into little characters, or I would draw like superheroes of my own design, and and just create a whole entire world. I think with being a indie comic book creator, we're kind of like the gods of our own universe. Ain't that right, Jarrell? We are the gods of this universe, and we can control anything like a little puppeteer or whatnot that's going on. Jarrell, what made you create Robo? Like, I was checking it out and whatnot, and I'm not going to throw any spoilers. I'm going to allow you to talk about your comic book a little bit. What made you and what influenced you as well to create this little universe that you made? What made you use like those kind of character designs and things like that? You go right ahead, talk.
So it's a collaboration between me and the writer Raheem Nawama. He came up with the name. Originally, Go Robo Now was a website. He envisioned making this this website that would cover anime and comics, some manga and video games and things like that. And we actually the main character Go Robo is really the mascot for that site. So we didn't even think of it as a comic at first, but I had a table at New York Comic Con in 2011, and I was giving out postcards with the character on it, promoting the website, and people seemed to react to that and like the characters and like the bright colors of it more so than the other stuff I was promoting there. So I went up, so I talked to him afterwards. I'm like, we should do something about this, maybe like make it to a comic. So then the next year, 2012, we started making the comic, and we published our first like little preview of it. And it's just, grown from there. In terms of influences, we're influenced by like, manga and American comic books, you look at the designs, and we looked at like Mega Man, Transformers, like the stuff that we grew up with. That was a heavy influence. And things like that. I grew up watching that stuff. What happened?
No, I was saying, I'm sorry, you're hitting a soft spot. Great taste. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, the main character, I get more like a Optimus Prime feel. Was he like influence design onto that?
No, for sure. Like especially with the, with the face, and he's got like the mask, the face plate and stuff. For sure.
Did you see the new Netflix Transformers?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
I see your head nodding a little bit, Sean. What you think of it?
It was all right. I mean, it wasn't like the anime versions of the other series way back in the 90s.
Yeah.
But it still kept my attention. I kind of like it, but I'm not really all for the cell shading CGI anime. If that makes sense.
I understand.
Sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
But it was fair.
The story is also very dark and very differently from what we know the characters from back then in the 80s, even to like the movies, live action, so it's very different. It's different.
I mean, they were okay. They reminded me of Beast Wars. Beast Wars was dark.
I love Beast Wars.
True, you're right.
I love Grimlock.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, I remember seeing that like 6 o'clock in the morning, or maybe a little bit later before school, and then watch an episode of Beast Wars and whatnot.
Yeah.
Sean, since I have you on the mic, go ahead. Answer the question there. What made you give a little brief introduction to your story a little bit and whatnot, and what influenced you to make that character, your characters? I've ordered your books, by the way. I just haven't got it yet.
No, I know you haven't got it yet because I have them in my hand right here.
We're mailing
Nice.
We're doing drop-offs tomorrow.
All right, excellent.
We had a lot going today, and so we had to postpone it until tomorrow. But also, before I even get started, we was talking about you was just talking about making comic books with paper, and I still do it to this day. Like, these are my thumbnails.
Nice.
And I pretty much do the same thing since. But Home and Worlds Beyond was, to be honest, it wasn't really supposed to be I didn't expect to draw this comic. I did a three-piece art for a gallery a couple years back, and basically it was a picture of myself in front of my old house of where I used to live when I first moved to Staten Island. And on top, there's a bunch of doors that's floating in the sky, and a bunch of pop culture references: X-Wings, Godzilla, King Kong, my comic book shop that I go to, and so on and so forth. And people received it very well. And a few months, the art was so good, it moved from like different galleries. People at Staten Island Arts, they asked me if I can make a comic book out of it, because that was their intention. And so I said, yeah, and here we are. We have Home and Worlds.
Show it up at the camera real quick. Show it at the camera. You're too fast with the cover. There we go. Nice. Give us
just
a little
like keeping it around, like so.
Yeah, man. You're too fast, man. Too fast.
But Home and Worlds Beyond is pretty much what I think of Staten Island. You go through one door and you go into a whole different universe. You're in a whole different land, whole different species, and whole new rules and everything. So the story is about a girl named Lena who doesn't know, but will soon find out that she becomes the savior of the multiverse and reality itself.
Nice.
The place that she ends up going to discover that truth is the Vast. And it's pretty much the bridge between all multiverses.
Hmm.
And so she has to protect the vast, or she's been predicted to protect the vast from this evil guy named Ovid, who is not a guy or a girl. It's just an it, and it's a dark entity. And he's willing, it's willing to take away what the vast has provided, which is access to different portals, different worlds, and also like, you know, stuff that people have from different planets. So it's a very big event that goes on within the system. And
Don't give away too much.
oh, all right, I won't.
Yeah, don't spoil.
Yeah,
All
no
right,
spoilers. No spoilers.
So you, what was the other part of the question?
Well, what influenced you to say I want to do this story? I mean, like, you know, is something that sparked in your head, or do you have like a vision when you were sleeping and you woke up like, I gotta write this down? Like,
Yeah, dreams.
yeah.
Dreams, and then also people just kind of put the charger in the back, and then it just kind of wrote itself. This is pretty much a story that I want to tell people about, like pursuing their dreams and doing what they are destined to do.
That's very cool. Very inspirational too. You know, we got a shout out. I'm gonna shout out Peace Moore. He actually said, "Nice art cover to you."
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pete Leon. No, Pete. But the person.
Pete Moore.
Huh?
Oh,
Pete
peace,
Moore?
peace,
Pete.
like peace, like love and peace.
Oh, Peace
Oh.
Moore.
Yeah, Peace Moore. He's watching it right now. He's saying nice artwork,
Thank
and
you.
and shout out to Stephen McDonald. Thank you for for checking us out here. Really appreciate it. All right, Jody. Same question toward you. Unless you, Sean, do you have anything more you have to say?
No. Pass it on.
All right, cool. Pass the mic.
So my book is somewhat.
Let's see it.
Hello, can you hear
Let's
me?
see it. Oh, you have it?
Oh yeah. My book is somewhat of a feminist response to women in business. I went through like a negative altercation with a man, and you know the trending mansplaining. And I just got up one night. It was like, what if they did everything we say? And and I got really upset. So I started putting men in like different sort of situations that women had to deal with.
Yes.
And in the beginning, I was very heartless because I was really upset. I probably wrote for like a week straight, to the point where Sean was mad at me for a whole week. He's like, oh, my girlfriend's a sexist. My girlfriend's a sexist. And it was really funny because I'm like asking him like, babe, how would you react if this happened to you? And he would respond, but he didn't know that I was writing down all of his responses. So luckily, we finally like sat down, and he was like, if you're gonna do this, it can't be this. It has to have some empathy, some compassion. So it went from enslaving the men and making them feel hurt to, no, this is wrong. The women and the men need to come together and form a new society that isn't dominated by corruption and evil women running around doing whatever they want to do. So Euphoria was born. And it sort of has like, it mirrors our society now, which is pretty much to the extent of upper class royals, government types. They have all the power, and the middle class, lower class come together.
The 1%ers, right? That's what you mean? Like you're referring to, like
yes,
the 1%ers?
The 1%ers. They're in the book doing all sorts of abuse with their power, and the middle class, lower class, they're the ones that come together with the men to free them. So I'm still deciding where the series is gonna go, but for right now, it started from a place in anger, and then I had to see like the dictator in my own book, like, oh crap, I'm going crazy. So with Sean's help, it reeled it back in, but it was definitely started from like a feminist, I'm a woman too, I have a voice, like why can't I do things?
What you guys
like,
do. Most definitely, women do have a voice. You know, if it wasn't for women, we wouldn't be here.
Right? Who's carrying you 9 months?
Exactly. Is there any stories go ahead.
No, but that was pretty much it. It started from there, and then I was like, damn, like this is a lot. Like, let's tune it back. Let's save the men, because these women, went crazy, and I had that God complex you were talking about, where we're like
Yes.
the gods of our book, and I was like, haha, lightning strike, cha,
There
cha,
you go.
Smite.
smite you. So I did have to reel it in, and now I'm having fun with the togetherness aspect of the book, like everyone coming together
Yeah.
to stop the corruption.
Well, so, but I also have to admit too, like, drawing, like I tell a lot of my students, because I do, I do workshop with teenagers and children how to draw. I do have to admit, drawing, actually is very therapeutic.
Mhm.
It keeps you focused and your mental.
Yes.
So I can understand, like with your frustrating and your anger,
Yeah.
you put all that energy into the pen, and then you start writing, and then you start drawing. That's actually is a good thing, and and I'm glad that you actually translate that into something creative, and then and actually have your own point of view to share with the world. Side note question: is there any death by snoo snoo?
There's no death by snoo snoo.
Okay.
Sexuality in my book, it's very open. The one thing that's a definite, it's like you can't marry a man, but you can have a man in the house and like sleep with him if you want. But no death by snoo snoo.
I was gonna say sign me up.
Well, you can sign up to work at the Gentlemen's Club, because that's where all the drugs and sex and fun times happen. So you could work there.
So what kind of atmosphere?
Like,
go ahead.
It
Sean.
looks like he wants to apply. Like,
What kind of atmosphere in this comic book? I know I'm going to get the book eventually, and I know you guys got me a lot. But I'm curious now. What kind of atmosphere is this story? Is it Amazonian? Is it more like urban, whatnot? I see the costumes on the cover and some of the illustrations, so it's different from what we are at norm now, right?
I tried to like apply a huge diversity aspect in this book. So you're gonna see Black, Native American, white, Italian, whatever. Like, it's a huge mix of different women who came together and said, enough is enough. Let's form our own society.
Right.
So pretty much you're not gonna see like an all Black book or an all white book. It's pretty much a huge diversity, and I wanted it to be that way to show, like, listen, the real world is made up of multiple people. Like, don't be stuck in a bubble. If you left your bubble, there are different races out there. There's gay, straight, whatever. So all of that is going to be mentioned. Transgender is going to be mentioned. As far as the time, I'm not going to release what time, but it is modern. It is somewhat, yes.
So, but so it's not, you can't say that it's like the distant future or this is the past that converted to now. Then you can't say nothing like that, right?
Yeah, it's not the distant future. It's not the distant past. Because of the location of where these women are, is not real life. It's a place. So
okay, I understand. You don't have to go any further, right?
You gotta read the book to find out the specifics. Yeah.
Don't go any further. I understand.
Like, do it.
You're trying to.
And me, I love talking about the book so much. I will literally give you everything. So I'm gonna pull back.
Yes.
It's not a real place. Just read the book.
Rich, what about you, my friend?
Where do you want me to start?
Well, I mean, like basically, what made you say that I want to do a book? Like, what influenced you to say, like, you know what? I want to become an indie comic book creator. I want to show the world Luckyzilla. What made you decide that? I know the influences, but what made you say that? Let me get down to it. Instead of just getting a regular 9-to-5 job and just call it a day, what gave you the fantasy of saying, I want to be a comic book creator and create stories?
Well, let's see. I had been drawing Luckyzilla comic books as early as 1998, and it was basically a one-off. Then 2 years later, I was like, I want to kind of do this. And I wrote and drew 2 giant 64-page Luckyzilla comics in pencil. They were never inked, although one of them is actually being published in parts as part of the weekly Luckyzilla strip until the end of the year. And then I just kind of swore off comics for 15 years, got into animation instead. I got a film award from the Luckyzilla short Atomics, which played as part of a film festival on a big screen, which was nice. in a movie theater, Village East Cinemas, and I was working at a job a few years later that I hated. I hated the printing business. I hated everything about it. I just knew how to do it, and I couldn't really get a job anyplace else. So this one gentleman comes in to my job one day, and he draws comics. I don't know if I don't think he'll mind if I mention his name. His name is Tom Travers. Great guy. And I looked at his work, and I was just like, wow, this guy, he's going places. And as I read more and more of his book, I'm like, I feel like I should be doing this. And you know what? I can do this.
Hell yeah.
I was working on a number of projects at the time, and I just needed to focus on Luckyzilla. But animation takes so much time. So I thought after the first year, I'm like, geez, I'm going to be working on this for at least 3 years. 3 years for one story that I'm going to tell. Wouldn't it be better if I tried to build an audience for this first, so that this way, if I can get enough attention and enough eyes on it and maybe raise enough money for it, maybe the pilot will be that much better. The comic strip started totally as a means of promoting the animated pilot, but the animation pilot has yet to be finished because I've been doing comics for the last 5 years.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, but that ultimately, when the comics started taking off, and I went from putting the characters in certain situations where they'd just be talking about pizza or the Bulls game or why there's so much traffic or why, there's only 26 chocolate chips in a chocolate chip cookie or whatever.
You are messed up. You funny, Rich.
I am.
We just came back from a run, so you're talking about food. It's
Yeah, I mean, today isn't supposed to be my cheat day, but I think you had also asked what the general gist of my comic is. So
yes.
I don't want to forget to answer that. So this handsome fellow right here
There
is
you
Bruce
go.
Deodato. He is an ace detective who carries a very special ace. When trouble strikes, he darts off to some, I knocked over my goldfish crackers. Anyways, he exits stage right into an alley, pulls out a magic necklace that he got from a talking rat.
There you go.
He named Ralph. And he transforms to the mighty Luckyzilla.
wow.
There you go. Luckyzilla, everyone.
He wields electricity. He's super strong. He's got a pretty good sense of humor. For
You're lucky Pete's not around. He'd probably be around to snatch it.
Oh yes. Pete Vasquez, half of Fat Guy Inc.
Fat Guy Inc. Shout out to them.
Yeah, we love.
That's
Pete
the person
and
I was
Brendan.
mentioning
Yeah.
earlier.
Yep. But Lucky uses his detective, his alter ego to, kind of blend in with society, find out what makes it tick. He's also got a gorgeous partner in the form of Harmony D'Angelo. And they also have a friend named Angela Trampus, who is a YouTuber. And she kind of gets herself in trouble. Harmony gets in trouble, and Lucky has to save them from the evils of the villains in the book, such as the Ref and Quackery. I did not make these plushes just so that everyone. I know.
We're about to see some live action stop motion thing.
Yeah. Well, a little known fact. I was going to film with these plushes a horror film short in the Source Mall before it was torn out. So that didn't really end up coming to be, only because there just wasn't enough hours in the day to write a script, make it good, and also try to finagle all the special effects so that everything worked properly. But I can only do so much.
Oh yeah. And that makes a great segue into the next question I have, and that is time management. Like, I mean, I know with myself, it's like when I'm not working on my third book now. I did Just Blaze, Legend of the Firing Fist. I got 2 books out of there. I was single at the time. I had no kids. You know, it was a lot more free time for me to actually do it. Now I have a kid and I'm a married man. It's taking a lot of my time to like try to balance everything else out there. To be a husband and a father and my 9 to 5 and work on my own book. How do you do it? Like, what exactly is like? Say that you're talking to somebody now and they want to know how you balance that out, create your own book. Jarrell, start off with you there. What made you? How did you do it? Like to make Robo? I see you have 3 books, right? That's correct.
Yeah, 3. It's a very slow process. So, both me and Raheem, we work full time in other industries, and that takes up a lot of our creative time, and that with we want to make every issue the best one possible. So, we're not putting ourselves on a deadline to make to publish it at a certain time. It's just we just try to commit as much time as we can to the comic.
Oh, what happened? I'm having